ETF launched yesterday in the United States, and it is, in fact, backed by actual XRP. And this is the first such instance of an XRP ETF launching in the United States that is actually backed by XRP, but not in the way you'd expect. Multi-coin ETF today, which includes XRP, and it went live today, which also impacts the supply and demand dynamics for XRP. Like, there's just an endless onslaught of excellent news for XRP holders, and none of you should be surprised that XRP is, whatever the investment vehicle is, XRP stuns all of the naysayers and, frankly, everybody in crypto, but especially the naysayers. Turns out the demand for XRP is organic, and all that social media buzz are actually not just a bunch of XRP bots. Beep, boop, beep. Turns out it's actually a whole ton of real humans. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, just as a quick and friendly reminder, to highlight the degree to which XRP has just been dominating, and not just since the election. Like, if you're talking about XRP price on a global scale, yeah, XRP is the #1 performing coin out of the top 100 since the election. That is true. But any investment vehicle that is launched pertaining to XRP just dominates. Here's one example from CoinDesk. This is August 26th this year. XRP futures set open interest record at CME. And what they're talking about here is that XRP became the fastest contract to reach $1 billion in notional open interest, achieving this milestone in just over 3 months. My friends, that had never been done before. It resulted in Nate Garachi, he's the president of Nova Diaz Wealth investment firm, stating the following on August 26th. CME Group says XRP futures contracts have crossed over $1 billion in open interest. Fastest ever contract to do so. Took just over 3 months. There's already $800+ million in futures-based XRP ETFs. Think people might be underestimating demand for spot XRP ETFs. Yeah, I think so too. And by the way, I also mentioned this. There's the Tukrium CEO. I've talked about him before. He highlighted that XRP is the coin with the most utility in the crypto space, and the investment product that he offered, which was a levered product, it was his firm's best performing product, and I believe his firm's been around now 16 years, just pulling from memory. I think that's right. 16 years, and this is the top performing product that he's ever had, and it has to do with XRP. And that leads us to what just happened yesterday, and this is big. Now, I'm not surprised, perhaps you're not surprised, but all of the naysayers and the people suffering from XRP derangement syndrome, they're surprised. Look at this headline from CoinDesk. XRP and Doge ETF smash records with 54.7 million combined day one value. And I'll get into the specifics, but just to highlight a couple of the bullet points, take a look at this. The Rex Osprey XRP ETF recorded the highest debut volume of any ETF this year, surpassing $37 million. Yes, you heard right, folks. This launched yesterday, and it is the best that there has been all year. XRP ETF. You can't be surprised, right? And then the Doge one was at just 17 million. So, of course, XRP just completely dominated. And then they threw those numbers together for the headline. But really, the dominating headline in my mind should be that the XRP one is 37 million freaking dollars. And then you have Eric Balchunas, who, from what I've seen, he's not like some sort of XRP hater or troll that I've seen, but he and James Seifert, his buddy over at Bloomberg, and they're the ETF analyst guys, they're very famous in crypto. Both of them have said things that make it very obvious they are not fans of XRP. So that means, I'm assuming they haven't sufficiently researched it. I don't know, or they think they know things. They've said like James Seifert in particular, nothing against him on a personal level, but he has said some snarky things about XRP, which I've highlighted on my channel. And so it's not surprising to me that they're surprised that this is happening. Here's the post from Eric Balchunas. He's a senior ETF analyst at Bloomberg. And just yesterday morning, before the day had completed, he wrote, semi-shock. Rex XRP ETF, ticker symbol XRPP, is already at $24 million in volume. I actually thought it was XRPR. I'll pull it up in an article. I'm pretty sure that it was XRPR. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken. But anyway, but at that point, 24 million in volume already that morning. He says, that is way more than I would have thought. For context, it's 5 times more than any of the XRP futures ETFs did on day one, and it's only been 90 minutes. Isn't that buck wild? Yeah, he's surprised. I'm not surprised. Not that it's something I would have predicted. I didn't know that was going to happen, but am I remotely surprised? No, there's very real pent-up demand for XRP products because XRP has been artificially suppressed for most of the last half a decade. And then he shared this post after close. This is 4:48 p.m. yesterday. Yeah, it looks, oh yeah, so he did correct it. I was right. XRPR, he corrected himself. XRPR traded $37.7 million on day one, which edges out IVES for the biggest day one natural dollar volume of any 2025 launch. Doge is no slouch at $17 million, which would be top 5 for year out of 710 launches. Good sign for the onslaught of 33 act ETFs coming soon. Yeah, no doubt, my friend. And so today, yesterday, marked a major milestone in crypto finance with that launch of XRPR. It really does. The Rex Osprey ETF. And it does provide regulated U.S. exposure to XRP. It is backed. So, it's not traditional 100% RPR, is backed in a very real way by XRP through basically a hybrid structure. And so the way XRPR is built, there's a Cayman Island subsidiary, and it does hold XRP. In fact, at least 80% of its net assets are invested in XRP or other assets that give exposure to XRP. And so the fund's own disclosure, in fact, says that at least 80% of its assets will be invested in XRP or instruments that directly track XRP. And then the remaining 20% is a flexible sleeve that can be used for other holdings. So that portion can go into things like short-term U.S. government securities, cash, money market instruments, other crypto-related ETPs and derivatives that'll basically help with liquidity management, also regulatory compliance, hedging, yada, yada. But in plain English, that 20% is basically a buffer. That's why it's there. It allows the managers to meet redemption smoothly, handle expenses, and keep the ETF running without being forced to sell XRP at bad times. So, while the ETF, of course, acknowledged that it's not 100% backed by XRP, the design absolutely ensures it is substantially backed by XRP in practice. It is an XRP ETF. It is backed by XRP, and it has been launched in the United States. That's a first. This is very real. So for XRP holders, that's still bullish because the bulk of the fund requires real XRP to be purchased and held, which obviously supports demand and chips away at liquidity supply, that's for damn sure. The 20% cushion, it's just an operational side of making the ETF work within U.S. regulations. So they had to do that, frankly. XRP spot ETF to follow, no doubt. But let me reiterate that because actual XRP is held as a result of demand for this ETF, it increases demand for XRP in a more institutional and regulated way. And, that can tighten supply on the open market. In fact, it absolutely is. There's no question that it is. By design, that's what it does, which of course will help to prop up the price of XRP. And I'm always most interested in what that means for the long haul over a span of years and decades. But even in the short term, you're seeing real numbers here, folks. And it opens up access. Many investors who either won't or can't deal with crypto exchanges, wallets, or self-custody, now they can participate in XRP's potential upside by buying a regulated ETF in their brokerage account. Just wherever they're already buying stocks and such, and wherever they're buying their ETFs, ETFs that are tracking the S&P 500, for example, now you can buy this. And then again, the opening day performance, it's just staggering. $37.7 million in trading volume. It's just shocking people. That's just an enormous appetite for pent-up demand for this kind of exposure to XRP. And it's quite a hint, maybe more than a hint, maybe a lot more than a hint, of how powerful a true, pure spot XRP ETF would perform once approved. There will be multiple spot XRP ETFs. But once they're fully live, my God. Just imagine what that's going to look like. And so this obviously much more money flowing in than futures. because I mean, it's more appealing in my mind anyway. It's more appealing, obviously, to get exposure to the asset, and this is a way to do that. Wait till it's 100% spot backed. That's going to be freaking buck wild. And then we had this. SEC approves first U.S. multi-asset crypto ETP from Grayscale, and I will note that an ETF is a type of ETP. An ETP is an exchange-traded product. ETF is an exchange-traded fund. I believe there are just 3 different types of ETPs, if memory serves anyway. I can never remember what the other ones are because, frankly, in crypto land, we don't talk about them because they're not ever relevant. But ETF, so all ETFs are ETPs, but not all ETPs are ETFs. So ETF is just a subcategory of ETP. But anyway, check this out. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission approved the first multi-asset cryptocurrency exchange-traded product in the United States, clearing Grayscale's digital large cap fund for listing. And I will note, even though they're calling it an ETP, which is true, it is precisely an ETF. This is an actual ETF right here, and XRP is in it, and it is now traded. We're talking about spot XRP and several other coins. That went live today. Says the fund will offer exposure to 5 of the world's largest cryptocurrencies: Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. The approval disclosed in a filing on Wednesday marks a milestone for the digital asset industry and follows the success of U.S. spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds. Now, folks, isn't it obvious that a true pure XRP spot ETF is coming next? The answer is yes. It could not be more clear. Of course it's freaking coming. XRP's already in a spot ETF that's just, it's a basket of cryptos. It just went live today. And then you've got an XRP-backed ETF that went live yesterday, and it's just booming. And this is coming at a time when we're going into the final stages of a bull run. How could you not be ridiculously bullish here? It's just so obvious that what's about to happen is XRP is going to melt everyone's face on the entire damn planet.